Hello friends. This is Fiction Quest. How are you all? So in this video, we will see, what if Naruto become the warden of One Piece world and got harem? But before we start, if you want more amazing stuff like this, then be sure to subscribe to our channel and like this video. Also, if possible, share this video with your friends. Now without wasting any more time, let's begin the story. It was a great evening. Naruto was looking at sun setting from his room's window in Konoha and reminiscing. Fourth Great Ninja World War had ended around 50 years ago. That was the start of true peace in Ninja World and whole of elemental nations. All nations, small and big, even samurais, had participated in the Great War, because its result was going to affect everyone. After end of the war, nobody wanted to go back to previous system of fake peace, alliances and continuous threat and chances of war. So a new system of governance was established. Daimyos of every country unified and formed a council for governing whole of elemental nations as one unit so that no previous inter-country tension was present. Now the previous country were called states, e.g. Fire State, Wind State, etc. Shinobi and samurais also formed a central council, now aptly named Military and Police Council. First Shinobi and Samurai Council consisted of Kages and heads of remaining ninja villages and of course head of samurais. Whole of Shinobi system was reformed now that they were unified and worked as protection and law enforcement agents for general public, Daimyo's council and finally protector of peace. Even in peacetime, training of ninja system was not slowed down. There was a sense of something even bigger events happening in future in every mind. Even the excitement of future in the minds of people. Most of the efforts for present were placed on welfare of general public and lifting the status of living in elemental nations. For the last 50 years, spearheading all the change on the shinobi side was Senju Naruto. But he never tried to control everything, even after being offered many times the post of emperor. He was even lifted to status of god in human body, an avatar, by public due to his popularity, power and inclination to do the right thing even when the path to that aim is very hard. Military Council's head was chosen by popular vote of all ninjas every 3 years. So for the first 21 years after the war he was the head of council. After that he took a leave from council's head position to spend time with his family. Now he was given a post in council for his contributions. He represented Fire State in the council mainly and an elder. There was also one more reason for his down-to-earth personality, who was none other than his wife Senju Hinata. She kept her hubby's mind from becoming too big from all the adoration and respect. She was his anchor to ground and his family was his life. In the process of welfare these 50 years, elemental nations had also gone through unprecedented technological progress. There were no wars, but that didn't mean that Naruto's life was not interesting in these years. There were many surprises that came to pass in Naruto and Hinata's life as years passed them by. First of them was that years did pass them by, but they didn't affect Naruto. Time didn't affect Hinata to great extent. Nobody was sure, but it was hypothesized that in case of Naruto it was the sum of 4 things, him absorbing some of Kurama's chakra in the womb of Kushina. Second one being the Jinchuriki of most powerful of the tailed beast from birth. Awakening of Rinnegan and his heritage as Senju and Uzumaki combined. While in the case of Hinata it was due to Tsunade's creation rebirth jutsu and carrying Naruto's children. Second of surprise was that person's Naruto revived with his Rinnegan during his training trip didn't age. He used this newfound to give Hinata a body created by Rinnegan and transferred her soul using human path. Current theory on agelessness of body created by Rinnegan was very simple. They theorized that any and everything created by Rinnegan didn't age. This agelessness of Naruto and Hinata resulted in their gaining a bloodline which granted them a longer lifespan. The children also got a dojutsu as the bloodline. It was a new dojutsu which was mix of Byakugan and fully matured Sharingan. This agelessness affected one more person's naturally, Gaara. He was aging as normal, a bit slower than normal before extraction of Shukaku, but after the extraction and his revival his aging also stopped completely. His less than normal aging was explainable since he was a Jinchuriki even before birth, but why aging simply stopped it was still speculated upon. Naruto on request from Tobirama and Gaara created Rinnegan bodies for Mei and Tenten respectively. Mei was married to Tobirama while Tenten was married to Gaara. These surprises in Naruto life were unexpected, but some surprises, events in their life also were expected and pleasant. Hinata gave birth to 2 children, 1 boy and 1 girl 3 years apart. first child, a boy, was born 5 years after the conclusion of war. Naruto was very happy at the time of birth and gave them name based upon name given to tailed beasts by Sage of Six Paths, namely Senju Shukaku and Senju Chomei respectively. Original Shukaku and Chomei had no problem with that because he gained their respect too after he freed all Biju from their Jinchuriki including Kurama, Shukaku and Gyuki. They even felt honored. This extraction of Biju didn't result in deaths of Jinchuriki, since Naruto used his Rinnegan and new Edo Tensei variation to bring them back to life. This even resulted in Gaara's agelessness. He even freed Kurama by using Preta Path and extracting his chakra totally from him after the war. Kurama's extraction took him about 3 days because he couldn't extract it fast lest he die from sudden loss of chakra and also due to vast amount of chakra which made Kurama. Since he used Preta Path to extract Kurama's chakra, his chakra capacity increased rapidly again. His original chakra capacity which became around triple of Hashirama at age of 30 and was now growing slowly now tripled again. People estimated that Hashirama's chakra capacity was around 5 times that of a high S-rank ninja or kage. After this event Naruto became a true chakra monster with having chakra around 50 times that of an S-ranked or kage level ninja. He now even surpassed Biju in chakra capacity, such that he almost equaled Kurama in chakra capacity, and since his still reserves were still growing he may even surpass him. He, Tobirama, Mito, Minato and Kushina all combined their minds and knowledge and created human bodies which can handle a Biju's chakra and have minds of Biju using Rinnegan, body of Shinju and seals. It took them almost 10 years but they completed the task. It resulted in 2 favorable outcomes, first one being now no one could use Shinju body again to do any damage since it was deconstructed to give Biju bodies, and secondly it provided Biju freedom because nobody could now seal them into anything and they could roam freely. Naruto thought why original Sage didn't created human bodies and he only came to one conclusion that he couldn't do that because seals were not that advanced at that time and he was on last of his life when he was dividing Shinju's chakra. Now Biju, who after this change prefer to called by their names and if needed to define them collectively like to be called chakra entity instead of tailed beasts. They could access all their powers in the bodies just like a Jinchuriki could, i.e. version 2 chakra cloak and full-tailed beast transformations. Some of them who were treated fairly still care for their villages, while rests of them were fully utilizing this new development's result by wandering around and seeing the sights. In the last few years, after everything settled down and they reached a satisfactory level of governance, Naruto had been thinking about world outside of elemental nations. He found out about outside world from Mifune. Sometime around 20 years after the war Mifune and Naruto has become great friends after he trained Naruto in swordsmanship. He mainly taught him sword techniques of samurai including a curious technique which applied haki, which is basically application of willpower to strengthen swords and body in effect environment. It came into the discussion after Mifune was able to hit Naruto even when his Kamui was activated. After this event Mifune explained to him about haki. As he explained to him, haki is pure application of willpower that is having no doubt in your actions. Since its application of willpower it can hurt him even being intangible because it doesn't only affect physical aspect but also affects his willpower and soul to an extent. It was passed down only to leadership of samurai, but considering the help and contribution of Naruto in establishing peace in the nations the leadership of samurai agreed to train Naruto in haki. Mifune was charged with Naruto's training in haki. After training in haki Naruto found out that haki can be counteracted with Sage mode and its many properties match with Sage mode like high durability, minute or high preflex and increase in attacking power, and all these qualities increases as the proficiency in haki or Sage mode increases. He had mastered Sage mode completely, but he decided to acquire the skill of haki too. During training he also learned about the countries, islands and worlds outside of elemental nations. While elemental nations in and on itself was a big country, land but it didn't compare to the vastness of outside world. In the time when he was being trained by Mifune, Naruto got to know more about culture, philosophies and history of samurai. Apparently their origin was not in the elemental nations but outside them. Few people outside of Iron Country always wondered how samurais came to be, since Sage of Six Path only taught ninshu i.e. ninjutsu. They came from a country called Wano which was in second part of Grand Line. Few people from the country started on an expedition to find new nations, many years before, and they came about this nation. leader of nation, was fascinated by ninjutsu and decided to stay here longer. When there was time to leave for next adventure, many of the expedition decided to stay and formed the start of what is called Iron Country today. Surrounding events and culture affected them, and there came about some deviation from original culture, and they also incorporated use of chakra in forging and fighting. Naruto was proud of his achievements and of people of elemental nations. But now he was in a dilemma. His ancestors' dream was to bring peace to the world. Now that he knew about outside world, he can't just ignore their existence and condition. But to intervene in the outside situation meant that he had to leave elemental nations and, more importantly, his family. He was lost in these thoughts when Hinata entered the room after bath. She saw Naruto lost in thought and asked, "What are you thinking about, Naruto?" Naruto replied with a sigh, "Nothing." Hinata rolled her eyes and said, "We have been with each other nearly 65 years and you still think you can hide things from me." Naruto looked to her and said, resigned, "I had not yet decided on what to do, so didn't want to burden you with my thoughts if it resulted to nothing." Hinata came closer to Naruto and asked, "So what were you thinking about?" Naruto said, "I was thinking about the information I got from Mifune about outside world all those years ago. You know, there is a vast world outside of elemental nations which are untouched and unexplored by people of elemental nations. We have been so engrossed in internal warfare and politics, there was no time for anyone to go outside for anything for hundreds of years, and if someone before that did go to outer sea, there is no record of that. But now that elemental nations are stable and enjoying a peaceful time, I was thinking about going out to sea and explore." "Why are you thinking about this today?" asked Hinata after thinking over Naruto's words. Naruto replied, "Tomorrow is a session of council. Many of our friends will come there, so I wanted to discuss it with them and take their advice." "Why, are you bored with me and our children?" asked Hinata in a teasing manner. Naruto hurriedly said, "No, I didn't mean to give the impression of that. It's just that Sage of Six Paths' aim was to bring peace to whole world, not to only elemental nations. And I think he knew about the outside world too, or at least as much that could be possible in that day and age." Hinata said, "I was just teasing you, Naruto-chan." Naruto continued, "Shukaku and Chome have grown. They don't need me to take care of them anymore, but I can't decide to leave our grandchildren. But I think they will be in good hands with their parents, and if necessary I can come here using Hiraishin or Kamui from anywhere." Hinata thought everything over and said, "So tomorrow tell everyone, discuss and then decide about it. Now come to bed," opening her bathrobe in the last word. Naruto started opening his clothes hurriedly and said, "Okay." After that they lost themselves in each other's embrace. Next day, at council meeting, Naruto presented the notion of exploration outside of elemental nations. Many people were in favor of this idea, some because they thought that we need to explore and know more about our world for the sake of knowledge and meet new cultures, and some because they thought it will be good to know more about outside world in case there was ever a threat from outside. So an idea of a team for exploration was proposed by Shikamaru, the resident super tactician. He said, "It is troublesome, but since outside of our nations, the territory is unexplored, that is, we have no knowledge about that, and as you will know from samurais, a dangerous place. So I propose people because of whom this peace we have been enjoying has been established, mainly 8 dragons." At this May, Tenten, Tsunade and Jiraiya equally protested and said they too wanted to come with them because they were family. After some heated discussion and threat of castration and more, it was decided they too will be allowed to go. So this team of 12 was proposed as the advance team who will scout, and if necessary more troops will be sent to strengthen the scout team and to make relations with different countries, and as ambassadors or as backup. It was easy for exchange of information after development of communication seal matrix by Mito, Kushina and Naruto based upon Hiraishin. For travel on the sea, a ship was commissioned by the council. Hashirama supplied strongest wood available, which was reinforced with his chakra, and Naruto provided Rinnegan made reinforced metals for strengthening and riveting purposes. Inari's company, which was one of the most famous company for woodcrafting and making buildings, were given the job to complete the ship. He estimated that it will take around 6 months to 1 year to make a beautiful ship. After council meeting ended, Shukaku and Chome met with Naruto. Shukaku asked, "Why are you leaving us?" Naruto sighed and said, "I promised myself that I will bring peace to the world, and now you know world is much larger than only elemental nations. So I need to go out there and do as much I can to that aim. Don't worry, I am not leaving you permanently, I will only be 1 Hiraishin away. If you ever need me, you know what to do." The successor of Mifune, a man named Yurikaku, gave him a copy of original map used by first samurais to come here and explained they live in east blue part of the seas and close to calm belt, hence there is no travel in direction of Kase and Tsuchi no Kuni. Now was the time to prepare for leaving. After 10 months, as the reputation of Inari's company suggested, Inari completed the ship 2 months before the time limit. By the time everyone understood the reasons for the exploration and was happy with them. Now everyone was able to correlate the feeling they have been experiencing with these new developments. Initially, after hearing the news, his grandchildren were sad, but after he made them understand that he and everyone on the ship was only 1 Hiraishin away and they will come to see them periodically, they got out of the funk. Everyone was excited, there was peace, but it was a bit boring, and this was the start of a new exciting chapter for elemental nations. It was decided that Naruto will be captain of the ship. Tobirama would be in charge of security and tactics in combat situations. Hashirama was to be vice captain. Tsunade and Hinata will be medical specialists, healers on board. Tenten was weapons expert. Navigator was Mei because she initially lived on Mizu no Kuni and was more experienced and knowledgeable in navigation at sea. Mito was given the position of maintenance expert with Hashirama helping. Kushina was mainly a swordswoman knowing Uzumaki style and could use haki, not to expert level yet, which was taught to her by Naruto after announcement of exploration. Gaara was deputy navigator and helmsman of the ship, by his request. Hinata and Naruto were also chefs because they have been cooking food for themselves from early childhoods and they had become expert in food making. Everyone who was on board increased or refreshed their knowledge and proficiency in the time between announcement and start of exploration as much they could. They were going in uncharted territories from the perspective of elemental nations, so some new weapons were needed and developed, because in the travel they may come upon some obstacles which may be tedious or impossible to remove or overcome by ninjutsu and expertise of dragons alone. They knew that every obstacle will fall with the combined power of ship residents like Naruto and Hashirama, but even then, for the sake of redundancy and for the ships on which ninja of their caliber were not available, a new cannon-like weapon was created. It was fruit of countless hours of seal experts like Mito and nature chakra experts like Hashirama and Naruto. Jiraiya couldn't help them because he mastered Sage Mode completely just few years back and didn't have as much knowledge as Hashirama and Naruto. The device uses the converted chakra nature from operating person or persons in small amounts. Using that as a trigger, it used previously absorbed nature chakra from chakra storage seal and converted into the chakra nature of trigger. If 2 different nature of chakra were applied, then when converting, mixes it and expelled it with great range. For now, mixing scenario was only possible with 2 chakra natures, and storage seal took around 2 hours to replenish the chakra used after 10 continuous firing of weapon. With the right mixtures of chakra type, effect were devastating, like using earth and lightning chakra or fire and wind chakra. If there is 45 seconds gap in each firing, it could fire 40 rounds consecutively. A light and thin flexible armor for every person going on board was created by Naruto using Rinnegan, which had more strength and flexibility than old dragon armor and could be worn under clothes. Everyone came to say farewell on the day of departure. Naruto's family, which was also the family to most of dragons, Shojiro, council members and thousands of people came to say farewell and good luck to them. It was start of a new chapter in history of elemental nations. As Naruto laid eyes on the ship, he was awed. He decided then and there it will be the second thing precious to him after family and friends. Ship was constructed to look very beautiful. It had seals carved into whole of hull to use chakra, again using also nature chakra storage seals, to facilitate sea travel. But seals were designed such that it didn't make it look gaudy or bad, but it increased its beauty, like beautiful tattoos on a lady. It was not a very large ship since people going to travel on it were few. It was a corvette-like ship, but with a few modifications. It had 8 rooms, 6 for couples and 2 guest rooms, 1 kitchen, 3 bathrooms, 1 relaxation room, 1 entertainment room and 1 practice room. Practice room was heavily reinforced by seals. All of the rooms were under the deck except kitchen and relaxation room. Deck of the ship was covered in natural soft grass and soil. There was a tree there too with a swing on a branch of it. The ship had 3 masts, big central one and 2 smaller one. Biggest mast had a flag of elemental nations flying on top of it. Flag had 2 concentric circles, outer one divided into 6 parts, each one containing symbol of major countries, and inner one contained symbol of harmony. Control wheel was on the front side of the deck was under a roof. Instead of a crow's nest there was a circular room with windows to observe the sea and scenery. On the front of the bow was a beautifully crafted statue, from wood, of Shinju in his 10-tail form. The tails smoothly flowed into the railings and support hull. Shinju was kept on the bow instead of traditional figures, because all chakra originated from him. And ship was named Kagaya Kamikaze in honor of first person to dream of peace and use chakra. There were two options for embarking through Calm Belt and then Grand Line or traveling through East Blue. It was decided because Grand Line was more dangerous, it will be better for ship residents to have more knowledge in relatively safer waters before going into Grand Line. All 12 people boarded the Kagaya and then anchor was drawn and the ship embarked on a historical journey with tears in eyes and smile on face of everyone, departing or staying. Because everyone knew it was not farewell. Any one of them could come here using Hiraishin whenever their need will arise. They were able to leave Elemental Nation's shore and explored area just after morning and slowly moved towards deeper and uncharted territory of the seas. Life on the sea was a bit hectic in start, since everyone except Mei was becoming seasick, what with no one having much experience in sea travel. But the seasickness didn't last long due to expert make of the sea and adaptability of ninjas. In evening even Mizu no Kuni was just a spot on the horizon if at all visible. Generally normal ships take far longer to travel this far, but because expertly crafted seals and well-designed masts resulted in great speed for the ship. After sun was finally down and all of them met to discuss further work and process in relaxation room. Mei was the first one to initiate dialogue, asking Naruto, "So where to first?" Naruto replied, "I couldn't really comprehend the map that well. So first you have to tell me, what our options from here are." Mei explained, "As you all know, Elemental Nations are near Calm Belt with some parts in the Calm Belt, since that at least was explained by samurais and council, decided to travel long route and travel East Blue before entering relatively dangerous waters of Grand Line." Here Tenten interrupted by asking, "Why didn't I ever hear about someone from outside coming to Elemental Nations?" Mei said, "For outsiders Calm Belt is a dangerous sea, what with it being sentient sea monsters resting and breeding ground, so they keep a distance from Calm Belt. Even then I think one or two more adventure-minded and brave people would have come to Nations. But wouldn't have been able to return or make a lasting impression on people of Elemental Nations because of our ninjas, bandits or Nuknan's interference. This might have caused a dangerous reputation of our island to further increase and put apprehension in even brave people who were thinking about coming here. Any other island in East Blue is around at least 3 days of continuous travel with our ship, which is one of the fast ones if not the fastest around." At this Tobarama said, "Now that I think the environment of Calm Belt may be the reason or one of the reasons of animal summons being so large and sentient. Anyway, we started this journey to introduce Elemental Nations to outer world and lessen their apprehension of our nation." Mei coughed with an irritated expression on her face to get everyone mind on the important things. "Before we further devolve into a talk about nonsensical things and philosophical debates, first we have to decide where would we wish to go. As I was saying, as we get further from mainland we could see a large red landmass in our right side, so we can follow that without losing our way, since even I don't have that much belief on a damaged map of who knows how much old. After this precaution, if we believe the map, we need to at least travel 3 days to reach any island. But that island is a bit small. I don't think there will be much of a market or good information resources there. A relatively large island is around 3.5 days, 4 if we go easy on the speed. I think that island is called Dawn Island after deciphering the map." After this Tobarama asked for the map and took a look at it and said, "Yeah, she is right as usual." He gave a smile to Mei after saying this. He continued, "My advice would be the same as her, that we should go to this Dawn Island. There we could gather some knowledge about seas, since the island is big enough that there should be some ships going and coming there regularly." "So next stop, Dawn Island," Naruto announced in a loud voice with a very large smile on his face. But his smile didn't last long. "Ouch!" Naruto cried after Hinata and Tsunade both bonked him in head after and for his loud announcement. "Why did you hit me, Hinata-chan?" Naruto asked. "Did you have to say that so loudly?" said Hinata. "It's just first day, Naruto, don't become overexcited, otherwise you will get bored soon," Tsunade supplied. Mei added, "Yes, sea travel is full of excitement, more so in uncharted territories, but it also need lots of patience." Hashirama, Tobirama, Minato and Gaara just nodded their heads on the sage advice from Mei. Also, they didn't want to be hit by their spouses by disagreeing. Left pointing arrow. Few days later, as the sun rises on horizon, Gaara, who still sleeps less than normal, sees a landmass ahead. Using chakra in his throat, he yells, "Everyone, I see an island." "Why are you yelling, man? You know if Shika was here he wouldn't care that you are his brother-in-law and will pay you back for waking him up so early and in so loud voice too," Naruto said, coming from his position of crow's nest. He also added in low voice, "And so would I. Just you wait for a prank." Mei took a quick look on the map and said, "Yeah, this is the island. Gaara, take the ship to the least busy shore you can find on the island." "Yeah, we need to do some recon before announcing ourselves to the island," said Tobirama. After discussing for a few minutes, it was decided that Naruto, Tobirama and Jiraiya will go to island for scouting purposes after eating breakfast and resting a bit, and will come back at the ship in the evening. For now, Hashirama can build them a house and they all can rest a bit after first long travel on sea. So they looked for a deserted shore and they made a camp there. After few hours of decompressing and relaxing, Naruto, Jiraiya and Tobirama left for different parts of the island. Just as Jiraiya was leaving, Tsunade said, "Wait a second, Jiraiya. No goofing about and not wasting time on your research." She bonked him on his head and said, "This is a reminder as what would happen if you do research." And then she gave him a scorching kiss which dazed Jiraiya and said, "This is a reminder of reward that will be waiting if you do good work and remain a civilized person." Left pointing arrow. Evening. In the evening, after eating dinner, all people sat on the table on the ground floor of the house and started discussing what knowledge each of them heard or able to gather about the seas, people, local area and government. Naruto started the debriefing. "Kamui really is very useful and versatile technique of Sharingan. Using it with my Zaigakure no Jutsu, I was able to hear many things unobserved, and using Kenban Shoku Haki and Sage mode simultaneously, I was able to even guess about population and shape of the island. As far as I could found out, there are two main population hubs on the island. One of them is where I was, is a village named Fusha, and there I heard some people talking about Goa Kingdom, which must be the other town or city which I sensed. And I think there are a large forest and some mountains between the two people hubs, because I could sense few people gathered and many animals and plants in between." He again thanked Mifune in his mind for teaching him about haki of all types, even Haoshoku Haki, which is similar to killing intent but with broader effect. It seemed that all people who mastered Sage mode could use this one too. Since he checked with Hashirama and Jiraiya and they both were able to use it to some extent, with training will be able to use it expertly. Tobirama added to Naruto's details, "You are right, and I also found out that island is somewhat semicircular, with most of the straight shore of the island belonging to Goa Kingdom. People are divided by nobles and normal in there, and piracy is normal event on the sea." Jiraiya further stated, hoping to get reward offered to him by Tsunade, "I too heard about pirates." After getting one person drunk, he explained that there are 4 seas divided by Grand Line and Red Line. Grand Line being the same dangerous sea talked about by samurais and divides whole world in 2 parts. Red Line being a vast continent also called Red Continent, almost perpendicular to Grand Line, which also divides world in 2 parts. The 4 parts are called East Blue, West Blue, South Blue and North Blue. Nobody normal dares to go into Grand Line except ambitious pirates and people who are able to get a marine escort. He also mentioned Gold Roger, who was named Pirate King because he was the first one to travel Grand Line from one end to other and found one piece which is called greatest treasure available. He also explained that most of the world is controlled by Gorosei and their enforcement division is Marines, which are everywhere. Everyone had similar thought at this. Wow, he could really go the extra mile if reward is great. Naruto continued, "There is one marine base near the island too. We could go there to know more about the government after buying supplies and decompressing for 2 or 3 days here." Hinata interrupted, "Did no one found about currency used here? It is one of the most important knowledge needed for further traveling. We even brought gold, thinking we would be able to convert that into the currency used. So anyone," she ended the tirade with giving a penetrating look to Naruto, Jiraiya and Tobirama. At this, Naruto and Jiraiya looked a bit sheepish, but Tobirama came to their rescue. He said, "I found about their currency. As we thought, they have a different currency here. It is called belly or berry, I think. Its value is about 1/10 of a ryo. So we should be able to get around 200 million for half the gold we have." I don't think we would need more cash in near future, but if we need more we will convert remaining gold. I even saw a bank in Goa Kingdom that should be able to do that. Naruto made a face and said, I don't like the feel of that place, it is too strict and filled with egocentric people. It gives me a bad feeling in sage mode. Hinata consoled him, saying, it's okay Naruto, you don't have to go there. Tobirama and Mei could go and get the money converted. After end of the discussion, they started on where to make the temporary house where they would live for the time being. The person in charge of building the house, Hashirama, asked, so where should we go? Naruto replied, I think there are some people in the forest area of Mount Kalubo if I am right. We could set a camp close to them. It will far away with any relatively big civilization, helping us being inconspicuous, granting peace, and is placed around middle of Fuchsia village and Goa Kingdom. So we could reach both easily. At this Tsunade, who was drinking sake, said, we will vote on this. Who wants to camp where Naruto suggested? Everybody's sweat dropped at this. Since nobody was opposed to the idea. Naruto whispered to Jiraiya, take her to bed man, I think she is drunk and forgot that we are not in Konoha council meeting and she is not the Hokage. After that Hashirama announced, okay, it's decided we will go to Mount Kalubo in the morning. Next morning it was around mid-morning, when everyone of the expedition could be seen exercising. Hashirama had already checked ship for any damages on last day, even if the chance of that happening were very low, it is good to be prudent in these cases. This morning was different because it had a special thing going on. Today Naruto was teaching everyone about basics of Haki. While he was teaching, his clones were working on sub-elements justice and refining Haki. After some time of exercising in Haki practice, they packed the camp. Hashirama dismantled the house built on the shore. They hid the ship using seals and forest made by Hashirama and left for Mount Kalubo, their new camping, living area. As Naruto predicted, they did find a small concentration of people on Mount Kalubo. They all lived in a house just beside the large forest under a relatively rare collection of trees. They decided to make their house a fair distance of that house and bit near the forest so that very few people who dare to go into forest will be able to find them. This time Hashirama built a 3-storied, well-crafted house from his mokuton. After setting simple perimeter traps, they decided to settle themselves in. It was decided that after some time relaxing and eating breakfast, Jiraiya will recon the neighbor's house. Every couple chose a room and settled themselves in. They were thinking of living here for around 3 months before moving forward, since this island was the first one where people of elemental nations arrived on. They wanted to acclimate themselves to habits of the people and get more knowledge before going further. After everyone has settled in, Naruto and Hinata started working on breakfast. After around half an hour minutes, in which initial arguing between the couple consisted of 10 minutes because Naruto wanted to make ramen again, but after Hinata managed to convince him, due to Naruto having a probable concussion, they settled on making steamed rice and miso soup. They had just completed breakfast when there was a signal from traps placed around perimeter. They washed up and went to look for who or what caused the signal. After opening the door, Naruto found a very shocking and hilarious sight. A boy, around 15 years of age, was hanging from his leg from rope and his head was squashed on the ground. He had a scar below his left eye and wore a distinct straw hat, and also his legs looked unnaturally stretched. He was trying to free himself from ropes using his hands, which were again abnormally stretched. This was very unusual for Naruto. He didn't think anyone outside of elemental nations would be able to use genjutsu, since what he was seeing couldn't be real. To get himself free of this genjutsu, he activated his Sharingan. When that didn't dispel it, he went to Mangekyo, and after that to Rinnegan. When even that didn't help, he started freaking out and yelled, "Hinata-chan, come here, quickly." At this she came out and cuffed him, saying, "Why are you yelling now, Naruto-kun?" He replied, "Someone cast a genjutsu on me as I came outside, and I can't dispel it even after using Rinnegan. I need you to introduce your chakra into my network." Hinata did as he told, but even that couldn't release this genjutsu. Then he started believing that this boy was unique. While seeing what caused Naruto to be so freaked, Hinata activated her Byakugan and checked for any genjutsu. There really was no genjutsu, but even she was shocked. She expressed her feelings in very elegant method by saying, "Huh." At this Naruto sighed, somewhat relieved that he was not the only one seeing this improbable if not impossible thing. Naruto went near the boy to properly check and saw that he really was stretched unnaturally like a rubber. Due to commotion from Naruto, everyone in the house came at the door. Naruto freed the boy, still gobsmacked, and asked, "How the hell your head is squashed and your leg are stretched?" The boy laughed and replied, "Because I ate an Akuma no Mi, devil fruit, I am a rubber man." Hinata, who now had came out of her shock, sweetly said, "Naruto-kun, you know we first introduce ourselves before asking their name and greeting them properly, not use rude words when we first meet anyone." Naruto's danger senses were tingling. He looked at the direction of house for some help from his buddies and saw all men ready to leave him hanging if he didn't resolve the situation soon. He hastily said, as politely as possible, "My name is Senju Naruto and this here is my wife Hinata. So what is your name?" "My name is Monkey D. Luffy," he replied. Hinata took the lead of the conversation and said, "Come in the house, Luffy, if you want to eat breakfast." At the mention of food, Luffy asked, "Is it meat?" "No," Hinata replied, baffled, finding no sense in the question. "Then no, I have to go find Ace and train. I need to be strong so I can become Pirate King," said Luffy, and ran into the forest before anything more could be asked or done. At this impromptu event everyone sighed, kids, from few minutes earlier. Luffy was wandering around the house doing an impression of Dayton before going in search for Ace, again, so both of them could train. Even nowadays, when there is no more animosity between them as in start, some days he will go first into the forest, leaving him in Dayton's house. But today an interesting thing happened. When he was wandering around hoping that Ace has just gone for a few minutes and would come back, he saw a group of people come and build a house from nowhere. This event caused Luffy to become very excited, thinking someone among them must have eaten a devil fruit too. He didn't meet anyone who has eaten a devil fruit till now. So he went to knock on the house so that he could meet the person who made this house, but was caught in a trap. He had been trying to free himself by getting his hand on the rope when someone from house slid the door open. When he was able to see, he saw one man, around 20, freaking out and calling for someone named Hinata. A girl came out hearing his shout. They talked and then he came to him and freed him. After telling them their name he ran from there laughing. After some time he found Ace, below their treehouse practicing his fighting stances and aim. He yelled, running to him, as loud as he could, "Ace, Ace, I found some interesting people living in a house near Dayton's." Ace stared at him and said, deadpanned, "There is no house near Dayton's, Luffy." "But it is now. Some new people came and built a house in seconds. They must have eaten a devil fruit too," Luffy said. Hearing the insistence in Luffy, Ace thought on it and said, "Okay, we will go in evening and check it out." After that both of them started their adventure, training, food collection for today in the forest. Coming back from forest, Ace too saw the house. He also found few unexpected additions to the house. He was sure the additions were unexpected because he was sure the owners didn't made the additions of Dogra, Mogra and few of their friends in the form of hangings when building the house. Surprising thing was that all of them were hanged by branches originating from house instead of ropes. Seeing this, Luffy said, "I too was hanged like this. It was fun. I am sure they're enjoying it too." Ace face palmed and thought, as usual Luffy is clueless and thinking in the completely wrong direction. "Hey, what are you all doing here?" Ace asked after starting on the process for freeing them. Dayton was already very angry when she found out that someone made a house this close to her house, and after someone informed her that he saw a white-haired man bringing lots of money few minutes before, we were ordered to steal it. But when we came here to find him there was no white-haired man, but a black-haired one who was meditating, and he stringed us to the trees," said Mogra. Dogra added, "He went inside and we are hearing some muffled voice arguing since then." In all this talking Ace has been trying to free them, but these branches were tough to break. Hearing the whole event Luffy said, excited, see, I said there was someone with devil fruit power among them." They heard footsteps nearing the door. Hearing the sound Ace prepared himself for a fight. First one to come outside was a beautiful woman with red hair, wearing white robe-like clothes. Second one was white-haired man. He supposed this man was the one for whom they were looking for, and last one was the black-haired one, who was sporting a sheepish expression. He concluded that black-haired one has stringed up bandits. Red-haired woman said, "Hi, my name is Senju Mito. This is my wayward husband Senju Hashirama." When Mito was talking, she was looking at Hashirama intently. At the look, dark-haired one who was apparently named Hashirama, what a weird name, looked more sheepish. He made some hand movement and all of people who were entangled in the branches were gently placed on the ground. White-haired one introduced himself saying, "My name is Senju Tobarama. We are new to the area. We wanted some isolation from population so chose this place. You don't have a problem, do you?" At this all people shook their head, no one dared to speak. Mito sighed, "See, you scared them, don't attack people just because they surprised you. Don't use your powers to string up guests." Nobody dared to clarify that they were not guests. They didn't want to know what more these people could do and would do if they found out that they came here with bad intentions. "So can you introduce yourselves? I only know that boy," Mito said. Indicating that they knew Luffy, Ace thought that they know Luffy because Luffy met them in morning. At this Ace explained, "My name is Ace, you know Luffy, short one is Dogra and long one is Magra. You have to talk to our leader Dayton if you want to live here," Dogra said, thinking of ending this meeting on a relatively high note for bandits, otherwise Dayton would skin them. Ace looked indifferent. Luffy, not understanding, simply nodded. Tobarama said, "Okay, we will come to your house to meet you in the morning. Please tell your leader that we are 12 people, so your leader is not surprised when we all come to your house and attack us. We were already thinking of coming to your house for introducing ourselves to you. Bye for now." After ending the conversation, Dayton's family members left as quickly as they could for tongue lashing at the hands of Dayton. While the three ninja went inside the house, Mito again started berating Hashirama. Ace stared at the house a bit longer before he and Luffy too started to walk towards the house, lifting the animal for today's dinner that they dropped when they saw Magra and Dogra entangled in branches. In the evening, when Naruto and Hinata came back, they found Mito berating Hashirama, and Tobarama was giving his 2 cents here and there in between. Naruto sighed and said, "Not going to come between a wife and husband when he is being berated by his wife." Hinata simply smiled. Naruto thought, "I think that brings me out of the well for morning." They simply ignored them and went in their room first to freshen up. After freshening up, they then went to kitchen to fill the shelves with grains, vegetables and meat bought from Fusha village. Sometime later all people started coming back from their visits to town or villages. Around 1 hour later food was done and everyone was sitting beside the table, waiting for food to be presented. After dinner was done, Mito started the day's recounting by saying, "We got a few guests in evening. And your dumb great-grandfather stringed them up by his mokaton." "Really? Who were they?" Naruto asked. Tobarama replied, "I think they were our neighbors." "What they were here?" Jiraiya asked, surprised. He was given the task to observe and gather information about the said neighbors. At this everyone looked at him. Tsunade asked, "Why, what is wrong with them?" Jiraiya explained, "As far as I can tell, they are bandits. They are mountain bandits specifically." "Really, they are bandits, harassing and looting from civilians, those bandits?" Mito asked. "I can't really say. I didn't see them doing any harassing, but people in village are somewhat scared of them." Jiraiya elaborated. Tobarama added in his usual stoic tone, "They must have seen me coming from Goa with money and came here to loot us." Then Hashirama did the right thing by stringing them up. At this Mito looked sheepish and Hashirama smug. Tsunade wiped the smirk of Hashirama by saying, "You didn't know that at the time, did you? So in effect you stringed up guests. Anyway, I told them that we will come to their house in the morning. But we can't leave house unattended, since they can make another attempt when we are at their house." Mito and looked at each other. Naruto said, easing their worry, "That is not a problem. I and Mito Baan will apply a locking seal. And give you all a copy of key seal. And I don't think anyone will be able to steal the key from you. So that is that, now let's disperse." Tsunade said. Naruto whispered too, "Don't forget silencing seals, okay?" Next morning Hinata woke up in morning and saw that Naruto was already up and trying again to combine his gravity armor, Sage Mode and Haki. Instead a clone was on bed to keep here warm. He was leaps and bounds ahead in use of his Rinnegan and 6 paths and Sage Mode than he was in his youth. He can already combine any 2, but he was not able to combine all 3 at the same time, but was progressing on that steadily. She couldn't comprehend what will be his strength then. After all, his natural strength after Rinnegan awakening was higher than normal person, and he was able to destroy quarter of a mountain to half of a mountain, with combining only two, namely Sage Mode and Gravity Armor. Anyway, now time was to wake up, freshen up and scare the neighbor. It was decided after they found out that neighbors were bandits and two boys were living among them. They didn't think that those two were poorly treated, but it was unusual for them to see two boys living among bandits. In elemental nations they hadn't seen a bandit group which had civilian children among them. Also they wanted to know more about Dawn Island and East Blue, which they thought they must know more about, being bandits and all. So Hinata woke up, seeing that his job was done, clone dispelled, making Naruto aware that Hinata woke up. He stood up and lightly kissed her on the lips saying, "Good morning, Hinata-chan. How was the night?" Hinata was having little problem sleeping on the ship. "Good morning, Naruto-kun, it was good. It was better than on ship. I think it will take me some time to get used to sleeping on ship. Anyway, freshen up, Hinata-chan. After all, we are going to scare the neighbors," said Naruto smirking. After half hour or so everybody was on the doorstep after eating a light breakfast. Naruto and Mito were applying seals on the building. After that they started walking towards Dayton family house, as Jiraiya informed them that bandits are called Dayton family in the area. Dayton family house. Luffy was outside the house, excitedly pacing around the house. Dayton was inside and a little nervous after hearing that one of them has a power that lets him control trees. Ace was indifferent for now. He thought if they tried to hurt Luffy or Dayton he could handle them. He had become strong, and was going out to sea in few months as he promised Sabo. After some time they saw 12 people walking towards them. Luffy said excited, "They're here. They're here." Dayton shouted, "Shut up, Luffy," coming outside the house. Rest of bandits started whispering. Ace was giving them the evil eye which he gave Luffy when he first met him. He didn't like new people, and all of them felt dangerous to him, very dangerous, like Garp Jisan, when really angry. Tsunade, seeing Ace's face, said, "Wow, you look really angry. What is the problem, Brad?" Ace replied, his eyes stopping for a moment on Tsunade's bigger than normal assets. "I don't like you people. You are dangerous." Hinata said, "We are really not, if you don't anger us." At this Naruto got evil smirk on his lips and said, "We know you tried to loot us yesterday, that definitely counts as angering us." At this Ace stiffened. Dayton looked more nervous. Luffy was as usual oblivious. Rest of bandits were trying and failing to hide behind Dayton's enormous frame. Seeing this, Naruto laughed. Even Tobirama had a smile on his face. Mito explained to ease their worry, "Don't worry, we will not be doing any harm to do. We came here to introduce us, get some information and give you a warning about messing with us. It will not be pretty if you further antagonize us." She looked at Naruto, her expression scolding. Naruto looked a bit sheepish for a second before starting the introduction. "My name is Senju Naruto. The woman in purple is my beautiful wife Senju Hinata. Expressionless redhead is Sabaku no Gaara. At his side Sabaku no Tenten, his wife. This is my father Minato, his wife, and my mother Kushina. This is Tsunade Ban, her husband Jiraiya, and the redhead woman who is still looking to scold me, Mito Ban, and her husband Hashirama Oji-san." Pointing his fingers to each one respectively. Dayton still looked that she will faint, so Ace started, "My name is Portuguese D. Ace." He had already decided that he would take her mother's name. Pointing towards Luffy, "This chimp here is Monkey D. Luffy." Luffy interrupted, waving his hand to dragons, "Hey. I am not a chimp. I am a pirate in training." Ace continued, "This is Dayton, Dagra and Magra," pointing towards each one. "Rest is just cannon fodder." Collectively Rest shouted, "Hey." At this Luffy and Ace both snickered, even if they had gotten closer after Sabo's death, but they still enjoyed making fun of them. Tsunade said, "Wow, you are blunt. Did nobody teach you manners?" "Makino did." Luffy said, Makino, where I have heard that name." "Oh yes, bar patron in Fusha village had the same name." "Are you talking about her?" Naruto asked. Luffy nodded emphatically. After this Hashirama said, "Will you not invite us inside?" Ace hit Dayton on the shin to wake her up in reality. "Please come in," Dayton said as politely she can manage. Even she can gather that these people were strong, perhaps even stronger than Garp-san, and he was the strongest man she knew. After they arranged themselves on the floor of the house, Ace bluntly asked, "What do you want?" Luffy was now gawking at Hinata's eyes in curiosity. This was the first time he noticed Hinata's unique eyes. "We just want information," Tobirama said. He continued, "We are new to the seas. Our island was pretty isolated. This is first time anyone has ventured outside of our nation, in known history. So can you give us a map, and direct us to a library?" Dayton stared at them and finally said, "There is no library on this island. If you want comprehensive information on islands, go to Loguetown. It is a big port and city with a large marine presence. There you can find a library and any other things you need to know about seas." "Really, I didn't know you were so smart," Luffy said, looking at her with stars in his eyes. Naruto's group looked at each other and decided that they could get more information using Naruto's human path, and then they will move to Loguetown. May asked, "Loguetown, which is nearest port to Reverse Mountain, right?" "Yes." This time Ace replied. "So what is with two boys living with bandits?" Ace and Luffy both said, "We are not boys, we are men." Ace also added, "We are left here by Garp Jisan since he is a marine and can't take care of us all the time. He wants us to become a marine, but I am going to become a pirate, travel to Grand Line and make my name famous in all of the seas. As soon as I am 17 I am leaving the island." Every one of the dragons looked at him and decided that he has most knowledge about seas. Naruto was looking at a chance to touch the boy so he can gain knowledge about bandits and seas before sailing off from this island. "So you want to become pirates? Huh, you don't look so tough. Will you really be able to survive out there?" "He will. Ace is strong," Luffy said before Ace can say anything. "Oh really? How about this, we go outside and fight? I will only use one hand, and if you can win you can go to sea, otherwise I will bring you here anytime I see you on sea, or if we found that you are traveling on the sea by newspapers. Since you would be on them if you want to become famous." "How are you going to do that? I don't think any ship on the port is yours. And even if you got a ship you have to waste time to bringing me here." Naruto smirked. "Oh, that is not a problem. We have a ship, it is just not on regular ports and hidden. And for second one," he pointed towards Minato, "my Otou-san, and I can bring you here in seconds from wherever you are." "That's not possible," Ace said. "Oh, you think so? Let's test it then. We will be waiting here for half an hour, go as far as you can in that time," Minato said. After seeing that Ace and bandits didn't believe that such a thing is possible, Naruto said, "Go on then," to Ace. "Rest of them will be witness that we didn't move from here for half an hour." Luffy was becoming more and more excited. Really, you can bring Ace here anytime." "Yes," Naruto said. "Showed awesome," Luffy said, pushing Ace out of the door. "I really want to see it." Ace thought about it, and decided that he will go and hunt an animal, and if they can't bring him he will train, otherwise he wouldn't have to bring the carcass. Okay, I am going." For half hour both groups did small talks. Dragons asked more about Dawn Island and pirates. They didn't think a child should wish to be pirate since piracy was a bad thing. Luffy said, "Only some pirates are bad. Pirates like Shanks are pretty good. They even saved me from a bandit and Sea King." "What is a Sea King?" Hinata asked. Dayton stared at them. "Wow, your people really were isolated." "Sea Kings are overly large sea animals," thus they continued. "Dragons were able to find about Grey Terminal, Tenryubito, their cruelty, Goa Kingdom, its part that is most of the thing about Dawn Island." Dragons thought that Tenryubito's cruelties are exaggerated. They are bandits after all, they will talk bad about government. Because they didn't comprehend existence of so cruel people who are not stopped but aided by government. Half hour passed, Minato stood up and flashed to Ace, and came back. He had discreetly put a seal on him when he was going out and passed by him. And all people in Dragons had all three teleportation seals on their body, namely of Tobirama, Minato and Naruto. Everyone was shocked. Luffy had stars in his eyes, and even his body was shining. "Sugi!" Luffy exclaimed. It was so fast that Ace didn't even have time to take carcass of the animal he killed. All anybody saw was a yellow flash. So seeing that for going out to sea he has to beat Naruto, he said, "Okay then, I will fight you. Let's go outside." "So you ready?" Naruto asked. Ace was standing 5 to 6 feet distance from Naruto. In his hand was his trusty steel pipe, that he uses to bash bandits, thieves and animals. "Yes," Ace replied, steeling himself. "This is a spar, so no need to bet your life on it." And if you give a good reason for becoming pirated, I will even train you a little bit. You are assuming you are going to win, Ace said. Naruto just smiled and said, oh, you are confident, let's see, I will need only one hand to beat you. If you manage to make me use my other hand or legs, I will let you go to become a pirated. Hearing this, Ace became angry and ran to Naruto with his pipe ready for an overhead strike. Naruto just sidestepped and touched him on his forehead and fed him, sending him flying to nearest tree. Just when he was touched on forehead, he started remembering some memories. He again tried to hit Naruto, this time a bit carefully. He again went for an overhead strike but changed his direction to diagonally to hit Naruto when he sidestepped. Naruto just used his hand to catch his pipe. Ace, using his pipe as pivot, brought his leg up to hit Naruto in stomach. As soon as he started lifting his leg, Naruto threw pipe using AF, unbalancing Ace and caught his leg. Ace's head was going to hit the dirt. Just before his head could strike the floor, he used his hand to balance himself and brought his other hand to strike Naruto on his head. Naruto just threw whole of Ace's body again. Ace again was plastered to a tree, which was around 20 meters far. This time he was barely able to keep his consciousness. Naruto appeared near him in a flash and said, had enough yet? Ace just stared him defiantly until losing his consciousness. Luffy was dumbstruck. This was first time he saw someone beating Ace. He went to Ace shouting, Ace, are you alright, Ace? What did you do to him? Fix him or I will beat you. Naruto just smiled and said, no worries, Luffy, he will be alright in a few hours.
Hinata-chan, would you heal him? Did you have to damage him so bad? It will take a few hours before I will be able to heal him totally. Hinata said. Tsunade interrupted. Don't worry, Hinata-chan, I will help you. Naruto made 2 clones, and looked towards Hashirama, who made a wood stretcher. Ace was placed on the stretcher and everyone again went inside. Luffy was beside him, looking sad, but trying to not cry since Ace said that men didn't cry and crying didn't solve any problem.
After the spar, or more accurately beating, Ace was brought inside. He was placed on a mat, and Tsunade and Hinata started healing him. It took around 1 hour to heal internal damages. After all, he got shit beaten out of him, and another half hour to deal with external damages. After that, Hinata announced, he will be alright now. He needs sleep only. I think he will wake up tomorrow morning. Quick healing caused a strain on his body since it is his first time being healed using chakra. Tsunade said, if he has guts and strength, Brat may wake up early. Luffy was just staring at the healers and Ace's body, repeatedly, finally announced, Shug, you people are strong. Did you two eat a devil fruit? No, none of us ate one. Hinata explained. How can he control plants and you can heal so fast? Daiden asked, shocked. By training, Tobirama answered his expression, stopping any further questions on the topic. After he was a ninja, and ninja don't give information for free, sometime not even for a price. Anyway, what is a devil fruit? Tobirama asked. This time Luffy answered, it's a mysterious fruit found in Grand Line which can give a human mysterious powers. But it costs eater the ability to swim in sea because for some mysterious reason sea weakens them. So since you are strong, will you train me? Luffy asked. Every one of the dragons looked at each other, and after a moment Naruto replied, sure, come tomorrow morning and bring your brother too. After that they left the house and everyone went their own way. Hashirama taking Mito to a posh restaurant in Goa to calm her. Naruto and Hinata to Fuchsia village, because they liked people there. Rest of them just went sightseeing or whatever their mood was to do. They were gathered around dinner table again in the evening. Tobirama the ninja asked, so what did you find out from the boy? He was a well of knowledge. Apparently his father was Gold D. Roger, Pirate King. He detests his father and is seeking for his purpose of life, and there is a revolution going on in the world against the existing government. Head of revolution is no one else but Luffy's father, Monkey D. Dragon. I also found more about Tenryubito. It is true that they are as bad as bandits said. If we take the one who came to Goa as example, they killed a 10-year child in cold blood and nobody did anything. Not even government. Naruto replied. Tobirama concluded, from your description, ego and behavior of so-called nobles in Goa and presence of revolution, it is looking like that this world government is far from perfect. We will have to tread carefully from here on and gather more information about world government. Tsunade said, I have half a mind to go and kill all these Tenryubito or join the revolution. Mito, Mei and Tenten nodded in support of Tsunade's statement. Hinata said, don't be so quick to decide Bon, it very well that they have a reason for acting like this. Tenten replied, what possible reason they could have to kill a 10-year-old child? Hinata said sighing, I know. Even I can't think of any good ones, but this world is large, there very well may be one. I am not saying that your decision is wrong, just asking you to delay your decision until we have more information. It is also possible that revolution is not the only good thing possible, even they can have some dark secrets and after all we know next to nothing about them too. Tobirama said, Hinata is right. We should decide about what to do when we have more information. This statement caused him to receive glares from both Tsunade and Mito. Okay, so we are leaving this topic alone. Hashirama said, saving his brother from female ire. After that they small talked about less important things and went to sleep. Next day dragons have just started their training. After all they couldn't get rusty. If the world was as bleak as it sounds like then they would need all their skill, when boys came upon them. Naruto was trying to merge Sage Mode, Haki and Gravity Armor again. Remaining dragons were trying to improve their use of Haki with their specialties. Grass and pebbles around were continuously crushed, pulled or repelled when Naruto's tries failed. Luffy was entrapped by the phenomenon. His eyes were shining with excitement, he only said, "Shug," making the pronouncing taking a long time to emphasize his excitement. At this all the dragons looked at Ace and Luffy once, then everyone went back to their training except Hinata and Naruto. Naruto said, so you came. What are you going to do? Are you going to become something else now? No, I am still going to become pirate. For my friends Sake and mine. Ace replied. Hinata then asked, so give me good reasons you two, otherwise we wouldn't let you become pirates on our watch. At this Ace explained that he wanted to overcome his father's name attached with him, he wanted to be free as he promised Sabo and become famous. He didn't want to live in suffocating rule of world government who wouldn't even punish a man who would kill a 10-year-old child on his whim. At this Naruto faced Luffy and asked, what are your reasons? I want to become Pirate King, and be the freest men in the world. Oh so for you path of pirate is to get freedom? Hinata queried. What? Luffy said as usual not understanding at all. Hinata sighed and explained, you want to become pirate so you can become freest person in the seas. Yes, said Luffy nodding vigorously. Okay, so we will be training you from now on if and only if you promise not to harm innocent civilians. Promise. Luffy and Ace promised. They really didn't want to become pirates to hurt. They wanted to be like Shanks who was cordial towards everybody and will accept any humiliation and punishment with smile but do everything to protect their friends and colleagues. This started their gruesome tour, training by dragons. First Hinata and Tsunade pounded first aid methods and necessary medical knowledge in their heads. Tsunade said explaining when Luffy asked why they weren't training in fighting, until you know what needs to be done to stay healthy on sea, you will not be going anywhere. Because without knowledge you will become sick and no longer be able to travel. After that they learned basics of navigation from Mei and Tobirama. In both first aid and navigation Ace did well but Luffy's knowledge even if so much pounding was iffy at best. Sometime he will use his knowledge extremely well and sometime he would even forget smallest things. Anyway after these they started training them both in basics of taijutsu, specifically strong fist since gentle fist to be effective they needed chakra. In this case Luffy and Ace both did very well. Luffy's progress in absorbing fighting skills were astounding since he was smaller in age than Ace, he was showing great promise. Naruto thought about teaching them Haki, but first they have to build up their strength and will to overcome an obstacle, only then Haki can be used. Even if their strength was great considering their age, it was nowhere to trouble even Tenten when she has no weapons, nor do they have experience and even dragons were developing their Haki for now. Even for all their training, gathering knowledge, meeting townspeople they never forget to return to their home to visit family. Every one of them went to visit their family at least twice in a month. In Dawn Island, slowly but surely they were becoming attached to the boys. Everyone taught them some things. Every passing day both brothers' strength was increasing rapidly in the training of fighting specialist. Luffy even asked them to teach their techniques, especially teleportation. But they explained that most of techniques used by them can't be used by normal people if their chakra network has not been activated before age of 10.
Ace understood, but Luffy was sad for many days after that. Attachment was not one-sided. Even the boys were becoming attached to dragons. Naruto and Gaara became their strict Oji-san uncle, and Hinata and Tenten became their loving and caring Oba-san. Remaining dragons were given the title of granduncle and grandaunt. Tsunade was in very bad mood after hearing that she was again called an old lady by some brat.
They didn't just train Luffy and Ace daily, even for their tough body and temperament. Going through ninja training without chakra for whole day will be very costly, so for morning 4 hours 2 people will train them, rest went to visit villages, town, more training or sightseeing depending upon their mood after their morning trainings. They became fast friends with people of Fuchsia village, especially Makino, the bar patron. All the people in the village had good character even if they can't be put into brave category. Training did improve their skills with haki. Hashirama could use Haoshoku haki well now, even if it was less strength than that of Naruto. Tsunade and Hinata could use haki in combination with their super strength now, which made them more formidable. They were even nearing the strength of Naruto when he combined Sage Mode and haki, and that was only because they were new to it. Since haki was influenced by one's experiences, Naruto was relieved. Since age their strength grows, so will his. Otherwise there will more to worry than only glares, because for now he could absorb their punches with only little effects, but if their strength heightens more he will be in trouble, since both of them had a habit of boinking him. Tobirama and Mei both can merge haki with taijutsu and some elemental jutsus. Gaara was still not good at taijutsu compared to Hashirama, Naruto, Hinata or Tsunade, who were somewhat taijutsu specialist, but he could combine haki with his sand armor to great effect. Tenten can use Kenbun Shoku haki to find invisible target or predict moving targets and imbue Busashoku haki in small weapons like kunai and shuriken. She didn't have much success in using haki with taijutsu since she was more concentrated on weapons. Minato could also use haki very well, and Kushina could use both Kenbun Shoku and Busashoku haki well with her swordplay. Jiraiya was still having trouble in controlling his Haoshoku haki, but he could use Kenbun Shoku haki best among them except Naruto. They also learned about weapons used in sea normally. Guns were projectile weapons which throw metal pellets at very high velocity. They checked its strength and found out that the armor made by Rinnegan withstood the assault with no problem. Then there are cannons. A good enough or large enough cannon shot can destroy even a ship. Now that was new. They had just created something like that, which project elemental attack. There were no cannon available, so they couldn't properly its range and effects. They thought they would have to check its effect on the fly when faced with cannons first time. Till then they were going to add another layer of wood on outside, supported by Rinnegan metal, to handle cannon blasts. Their original plan to stay on the island for 1 month got derailed in training 2 brothers, modifying Kamikaze Kagaya, and it was around end of 2 months they were free and prepared to leave the island. It was a sad time when they had to leave. They had made good relation with people of the villages. Hinata, Tsunade and Mito were sadder to leave Ace and Luffy, but their work here was done. They had even informed council on the information gathered till now. It was decided that a merchant ship will be sent to make contact with village and start trade. But they will not make a permanent base there because they didn't like nobles in Goa, and if they heard about the base, they will inform government, which consequently will send ships to make contact. For now they didn't want to have that headache since hearing about state of world. More council members were becoming apprehensive about joining world government, but calmer heads prevailed and it was decided that more information is needed before deciding one way or other. So now Dayton family, Makino, Whoop Slap and few other people were here to see them off. Hashirama went ahead and used a jutsu that brought up the ship from under what on second before was a dense forest beside shore. Ship was encased in a wooden box large enough to completely envelope the ship to protect from earth above, and moved it on sea. Seeing this again everyone was shocked again, and this time Luffy's eyes and body were shining as he exclaimed, "Shug!" Again lengthening his exclamation. They rowed aboard the ship after saying bye to people. Tsunade and Hinata nearly crushed Ace when giving him hug, would have crushed Luffy too if he didn't have a rubber body. After everyone was aboard, Naruto yelled, "See you all sometime again. Luffy, Ace, we will be waiting to hear about you too. We will be on the sea for 5 or 6 years at least." So make a name for yourself so we can know how you are doing. Ace has been freed from the condition after training, since it would be impossible for him to beat Naruto, even when he uses one hand. At this stage, maybe after he matured some more and learned Haki. After that, ship started toward her travel onwards. After coming far in sea from Dawn Island, Gaara, who was manning the helm, asked, "So where to now?"
May replied, "There is a marine base near here in Shell's town. We will able to reach that one in evening if we sped up a little. New map which I got in Goa has far more information about East Blue, not so much on how to go into Grand Line except through Calm Belt. I think entry into Grand Line is sort of Sessert. In the old map there was no mention of this marine base. Anyway, should we go to this marine base, Captain San?" Last sentence said in a teasing manner to Naruto. Naruto sighed. "Don't harass me, Mei-chan. I am aware that council decided to name me captain, but we are all family here, no need to use words like captain." So Tobarama-san, what do you think?
Tobarama thought for a second. We should limit our contact with Marines as long as possible. How many bases are there in East Blue, Mei-chan? I think around 10, at least as much I can glean from this map, but from here on if we travel to Loguetown, which is said to be nearest port from Grand Line, we will only pass one in Shell's town which is near, according to this map, and knowledge we gained. Loguetown is just at opposite end of Dawn Island. Tobarama pondered for a second and said, "I think it will be better to proceed to Loguetown directly." "How many days will it take us to reach Loguetown directly, Mei-chan?" Naruto asked. "Around 7 days if we go at this pace. At breakneck speed around 3.5 days bar any obstacles," Mei replied. Naruto thought about it and asked Hinata, who was sort of given the job of keeping inventory of the kitchen, more like didn't let it go in the hands of Naruto, otherwise whole ship will be only eating ramen. "Do we have enough supplies to last, Hinata-chan?" "Yeah, we have enough supplies for around 2 months on the ship, stored in stasis seals," Hinata replied. "So we are good. We will be going directly to Loguetown, Gaara," Naruto finally announced. On second day of travel, it was around sunset when they finally got the chance to test effects of cannon blast on their reinforced ship. It happened because they encountered a pirate ship flying a Jolly Roger with cat-type skull. Pirates first placed their ship on front of ship to obstruct them, and then their captain yelled, "We are Black Cat Pirates. You are in our territory, merchants, so please hand over all your money to save yourself from a bloodbath." Naruto, who till now was enjoying peaceful wind and scenery of seas, said, "Oh, really? Why don't you try?" Annoyed. Seeing that there is no effect on the people on the deck, Kuro became angry and ordered the men to fire the cannons. Naruto, seeing the bustling on other ship, raised an eyebrow, confident on ship's reinforcement. As the first volley appeared, a wall of water obstructed the path of cannons. Naruto swiveled towards Tobarama and asked, irritated, "Oi, why did you that for?" "It is not good to assume, Naruto. What if their cannon had been powerful?" Tobarama replied in a calm tone. "Hey, I am not that reckless now. If cannon blasts harmed Kagaya, I was going to use Kuronosu, Time God. You know," Naruto said. "I always forget about that power," Tobarama said. Naruto said, eye rolling, "Okay, so now can you let at least one pass through the water wall? Even if it harms the ship, I will use Kuronosu. If destruction is large, we will not let any more cannonball even touch the ship." "Okay," said Tobarama, letting one cannon pass. After blowing up with lots of smoke and sound when it impacted with the hull of Kagaya, there was no harm, not even a scratch to Kagaya. Naruto, looking smug, said, See, there was no harm in that fool's cannon hitting our ship." Tobarama sighed and said, "Yeah, but in any case you should not assume and underestimate your opponents." "Hey, I was not underestimating anyone. I did tell you that I was going to use Kuronosu, did I not?" Naruto said. While that discussion, rant was going on, Kagaya, Kuro was becoming more and more agitated. While seeing that cannons had no effect on the ship was shocking, he, Captain Kuro of 100 Plans, overcame that shock. That agitation turned into rage, seeing that everybody on the ship was completely ignoring him and his pirates. And rage passed his limit to be composed when he heard Naruto calling him a fool. He lost his composure and jumped from his ship to the Kagaya and started preparing his stealth foot to massacre all ship residents. "Oh, what are you doing?" Hashirama asked. Hearing all the noise and commotion from cannon blasts and jutsus, everyone was on deck now. "Nothing much, just preparing for your death scythe," Kuro said, gritting his teeth since even nobody was taking him seriously. Wow, morbid much. So who is going to handle him? Hashirama asked, thinking they will let him since he was becoming bored. At this Kushina said, let me, since most likely he uses swords on his gloves to fight. Okay, Ka-chan, Naruto said. Hashirama sighed and mumbled sadly, I asked because I wanted to fight. Mito said, consoling him, don't be sad, Hashi-chan, you will get your chance to fight. While there was bickering going on, anger was building inside Kuro. He started on stealth foot with maximum speed possible. As he was going to get a first hit, he was blocked by Kushina. Now he was really shocked, since even he couldn't guess where the next attack will be, and from his position he was attacking on the farthest side of ship from where he was standing before. This attack was going to damage ship, but in the same time it took him to travel here, she was able to reach and even block him. Oh, you are fast. I didn't think anyone on the sea was this fast, that is why I was not prepared for this speed before, so I was only able to block. That goes to show what happens when you underestimate your opponent, Kushina said. What do you mean by you were able to block only? Don't exaggerate, you can't counter this speed. Somehow regaining some of the confidence after getting shocked from tip to toe. His underlings could only watch, none of them could comprehend what they were seeing. They have good reason to be this shocked, after all someone just stopped Captain's unblockable stealth foot. On Kagaya, Kuro again started with stealth foot, but this time all his claws of steel were chopped off instead, and he found a red katana near his throat. Make one move and you will not have a throat for speaking, Kushina said. After he was bound and all his pirate underlings were taken care of, Hyanta said, so what are we going to do with him? Is he going to be my new test subject for my poisons? All men flinched at this. Sometime or other every one of them had been a test subject and nobody wanted to remember about it. It was decided that they will inform nearest marine base using Naruto's summons and move onwards when they start seeing marines on the horizon. Checking the map, they found out that nearest base from that point still was in Shelltown, so they sent an animal path bird summoned to Shelltown carrying a message. It was next evening that they saw a ship flying a seagull flag on horizon, so they left the pirates bound on the ship and left. They didn't know that Kuro will get free from his bounds, and this defeat by dragons will finalize his decision to leave the life of piracy by substituting him with a look-alike shipmate. Anyway, back to Kagaya. They again continued sailing to Loguetown, since even if around one day was wasted on wait for marines, they have more than enough supplies to reach Loguetown. And so they were on their way peacefully until an encounter with another pirate. It was second day after leaving Black Cat Pirates when they came upon an interesting pirate ship which had a clown-like skull on the Jolly Roger. Ship was headed towards them, most probably to do piratey stuff, like looting and destroying. So Gaara, who was manning the helm, and Tenten, who was cleaning her weapons, got a bit cautious. As soon as the ship came near, a man in the clown costume yelled, I am Captain of Buggy Pirates, Captain Buggy, surrender yourself or feel my wrath. Tenten, who was still annoyed due to encounter with Kuro, seeing the face of a clown-faced man, got more annoyed and just fired hail of kunais and shurikens on them, before Buggy could say anything more, or in this case any one of the pirates could react. All pirates on deck scattered, most of them injured, but Buggy remained. More than 10 weapons cut him, but even after this he was in one piece. Tenten was shocked for a moment, thinking that he has upper hand. He grabbed this chance, ordering firing of his cannons. Gaara knew that no harm could be done to ship by normal cannons, so he let them impact with the ship. Result was large amount of smoke and large sound, which brought everyone on the deck. Gaara just sighed. He shouldn't have let the cannonballs impact, because now they have to live with sulky Hashirama again, and he just recovered from previous sulk of not getting a fight too. After they couldn't let him fight small fries because that will be like Naruto fighting Ace, which is way overboard. Buggy, seeing that his cannonballs are having no effect on the ship and seeing more people coming on deck, gathering all his strength so that his voice doesn't come out shaky, ordered, we will retreat. After all, we need to tend our man of injuries, and that becomes before piracy. Trying to save his face for deciding to retreat. Everyone aboard Kagaya raised her eyebrows. Naruto said, oh, he is running, shouldn't he try to loot us first? Tobirama said, he looks more experienced. So maybe he knew by looking at us that he will not be able to defeat us. At this, Tenten said, he also ate a devil fruit which let him bypass swords cutting effects. As we know, devil fruits are mostly found in Grand Line. I think that guy knows more about seas, or at least knows how to get into Grand Line. So how should we get the information? Hashirama asked, hoping that he will be allowed to fight. Tobirama sighed and just used a jutsu that let water rise from sea and fall on the pirate ship in large quantity, negating devil fruit power of Buggy for a time and also hindering their ability to move. Okay, then this is my turn, Naruto said, jumping to pirate ship and using human path on Buggy. After that he destroyed their sails and returned. Should we call Marines again? Hinata asked. Nah, I destroyed their sails, they will be stranded here, so someone will inform the Marine after seeing them, Naruto replied. That is reckless, Naruto, you know one of them has a devil fruit. I think he will be able to handle normal merchant ships or passenger ships easily. So we should send notice to Marine base again, Tobirama said. That will alert Marines about a group attacking pirates. After all, once can be considered a coincidence, bu twice. I don't think so, Naruto said. You are right, so what should we do? Hinata said. Tobirama said, we will sabotage his ship more, and after reaching Loguetown inform the Marines there, by some other people for not be noticed. That is a good enough idea, Naruto said, after they sabotaged the ship and continued to Loguetown. After some time anyway, what did you found out? Asked May. Sorry, I couldn't touch him for long because his clown makeup just creeped me out. So informatio is a bit jumbled. Wait a moment. Oh wow, Naruto exclaimed. What happened? What did you found out to get that much excitement? Tobirama asked. Naruto explained. He was a fountain of information. Apparently he was apprentice on Pirate King's ship, so he knew about aura of powerful people. That's why he decided to run, because he could guesstimate our strength, which even suppressed was too much for him. Anyway, there is loads of important information there. So let me comb through it thoroughly and we will talk about it at dinner, after dropping anchor. Everyone nodded at this, since dinner usually was the time to talk. At dinner after filling their bellies, Naruto said, so I sorted through all his memories and knowledge. He knows much more than we expected. Let's start with seas. As we know, seas are divided into 4 blues and Grand Line, and Grand Line's boundary calm belt. Now calm belt is not only dangerous because of no wind, but it is full of large sea kings, like the one we saw near Dawn Island, but much bigger. Grand Line is divided into 2 parts. First part is called Paradise by anyone who has traveled to. Second part of Grand Line called New World. New World being most dangerous and unpredictable sea in the world. After dinner I will all knowledge he knew about seas to you, Mei-san. Now second is government. He didn't knew much about government, but apparently there are 3 main power on sea which maintains the balance of power. Marines lead by Gorosei, Shichibukai and Yonko. While Shichibukai are powerful pirates sanctioned by government, Yonko are powerful enough to even scare the Marines. They rule the New World, and we already know Marines are soldiers for world government. Now Yonko are interesting. They rule the New World part of Grand Line, and apparently they are so powerful that no other pirate or even Marines dare to directly attack them without backup or in case of emergencies. Most powerful among them is Whitebeard. He is also called strongest man in the world after death of Pirate King Goldie. Roger. Also interesting was that he served on Roger's ship as apprentice with Luffy's Idleshanks, who is now also one of the Yonko. He also knew about hockey, even though he can't use it himself. There are some techniques which we didn't know using hockey, that he knew. I will try to perfect them and then teach you. He also knows why Grand Line is so dangerous. Apparently no normal compass works in Grand Line. You have to use a special compass called logpost to travel. So these are the main things. So what do you think? Everyone considered the information. Then Tobirama said, I think this knowledge opens up a path for protection of our country's people if we don't like the world government. Tsunade asked, oh, what is that? Tobirama replied, we could become Yonko. Hearing this alternative, Hashirama got excited. Living life as a pirate now, that will be interesting. Everyone but Naruto sighed. There was a glint in Naruto's eye, like he wanted to become Yonko or fight the most powerful man and compare his power with him. After all, nobody could give him even a proper spar nowadays until he limits himself drastically. That night Hashirama and Naruto both had dreams of being greatest and most powerful pirates instead of their regular ones, with their respective spouses being main characters. Dragons on Kagaya arrived on the port of Polestar Island on the morning of 3rd day after the events with buggy pirates. The island was mostly covered by very lively and busy Loguetown except few hills and ports. Town was mostly multi-floored buildings, markets and hotels for tourists and merchants. There were very few places where a ship can discreetly be harbored. So it was decided that for the time being ship will be camouflaged and its security seals will be activated so that if someone tries to board or harm Kaguya they would face a hard time. Security seal were made so that they get a notice too if someone tried to harm the ship when no one of the dragons are on the ship. After settling down anchor a bit far and from regular ports, so that deboarding is a bit tough for normal persons. They walked to the nearest harbor and relaxed, enjoying the scenery. Hinata asked facing Tobirama, "So where will we be staying in the island?" Tobirama replied, "There are two options. We can build a woodhouse on the hills with help of Hashirama or rent a hotel. Since this is one of if not the most popular port town in East Blue, there should be at least some good hotels here. But I think it will be more suitable to live on hills, since we don't want anyone to notice us until we are ready and get all information." Naruto concluded the discussion by saying, "Okay. Then we will stay on hills, and use henge to observe people and get pertinent knowledge so no one becomes suspicious. For now I will use a genjutsu on a man to send notice to marines about buggy pirates' misfortune." Hashirama asked, "When we are on the land, what should we do, Tobirama?" Tobirama said, "Is that a question to be asked? You wander and look for interesting things." Jiraiya cleared Hashirama's enquiry. He meant what should be our strategy here, meaning should we disperse or be in group, where should we go, etc. Tobirama replied, "I think we should disperse and study different areas of the town, so that we know all main areas like shops, marine base, etc. Mei replied, "Good idea, but I was thinking that we should pair up. People don't suspect pairs, if not outright ignore them." Mito said, "Until they contain people like Naruto, Jiraiya or Hashirama, who have hard time when being ignored, and tend to cause havoc." At this everyone except above mentioned men nodded agreeing with the sentiment, while mentioned ones showed their displeasures by pouting. Naruto replied after coming off the flunk, "Good idea, so we will meet on the ship in the evening, and then go to hills to establish a residence, find a suitable place for Kaguya and eat dinner and discuss what each one of us found." Hashirama and Mito replied, "Okay," with others saying, "Goodbye," or "Meet you later." With Hinata and Naruto, "So what should we do first?" Naruto asked. Hinata replied shrugging, "I don't know, maybe checking out market after getting a map of the town. We can decide what to do after that." "I was thinking more along the line of personal entertainment after getting alone," Naruto mumbled. "What did you say?" Hinata asked. There was a dangerous glint in her eyes. "Only that as usual. You are right, Hinata-chan," Naruto said with love in his eyes. So they went to market after asking the route from some people wandering on the road. They reached the main market within 20 minutes even when traveling with civilian speed. The market area was a new experience for them. There were lots and lots of shops. There was everything, from food to weapons. Hinata squealed after seeing a boutique. Naruto noticed that it was named Rebecca Hanberg. Any self-respecting male doesn't want to go to a cloth shopping with a female, especially a spouse, and since Naruto was one of those self-respecting men even a bit whipped and totally in love, "Okay. You go shop for clothes, I will look for a detailed map of the town, and possibly a library if I am able to navigate the streets." "But Naru-kun, I wanted to shop with you," Hinata said. Naruto, who was barely able to hide a shudder, said, "You know Hinata-chan, we need a map and as much knowledge as possible." At this Hinata started giving him a puppy look. Naruto decided that there was no need to elongate the situation if end result is known. So he said, "I will send a reinforced clone with you, okay?" After saying this he made a Kage Bunshin, shadow clone, and ordered it to go with Hinata. The clone just mumbled profanity towards original after Hinata had a head start of about few feet so that Hinata can't hear them. He also said glaring, "Hey original, I will keep my Mangekyo Sharingan activated so that every little detail of this experience is printed on your memory forever." After that he went for the tort, shopping. Naruto was now regretting his decision of creating a shadow clone instead of an elemental one and started hitting his head on a nearby wall mumbling, "Stupid, stupid, Naruto." Bystanders were gaping at him due to his actions. After punishing himself properly so that he never make this type of mistake again, he started on duties he assigned himself. He made a few clones and sent them in different directions so to scout the area as quickly as he can. With Gaara and Tenten as usual, Gaara was walking the path with as stoic look as he could manage on his face, when his mind was working at a fast rate to capture many interesting and new details so that he could properly talk about the city in the dinner chat. Tenten, who was used to his methods, was unperturbed. As luck would have it, their road opened up to a weapons market. At this, Tenten, ever the weapon fanatic, squealed. After controlling his outburst and adopting a look for a proper kunoichi, she blushed and started looking for a good weapon store. Gaara was now damning his luck, thinking, really, in this whole town we have to come across a weapons market. Resigned to his fate, he started following his wife and trying to calm her down somewhat, because otherwise they will be here until the market closes, if not after that. With Minato and Kushina, Kushina was living her characterization of Motormouth by Minato. She was blabbering about every new thing she would see. Take for example, as they reached a fish market, which they found out was named the Fisherman King Uotome after asking a fellow buyer. Kushina started reminiscing about her days as a Uzubakure citizen, since their main source of food was fish too, after all their village was on an island. She was fascinated by types of fish available. What he could decipher from her talk was that this market is owned by a man named Sappi. Resigned to his fate to spend his time in the fish market mostly, he followed his wife. But after some time she came to her senses. She did like 1 or 2 fishes, but since kitchen was domain of Naruto and Hinata, she decided to leave it to them. After wandering for some time they found out the marine base on the town. Seeing the marine base, Kushina said, "Hey Minato, shouldn't we scout the base for useful information?" Minato replied after thinking the question over, "Yes, we should. I thought this was more the work of Tobirama, but since I am here, okay. I am going to use a genjutsu on a marine, then we'll enter into the base hanged into him or her." Kushina said, "Good idea, so we will wait for one to come." Minato nodded and both hid from plain sight so as to not make nearby public or marines inside suspicious. After waiting some time, one marine came out of the building. On his hip was a sword and a gun on his shoulder. As he came out he was caught into a Sharingan genjutsu, and after some time Minato hanged into him went into the base while Kushina was looking after sleeping body of the marine. Hashirama and Mito too were wandering about the town. But there was a difference from rest of the group. While in other groups women were more distracted due to presence of markets, here Hashirama fulfilling the role of oddity of a group. He was still sulky from not getting a good fight with buggy pirates, and Mito was trying to alleviate his sulking. Every one of the other residents of the ship pleaded with her to somehow better the mood of Hashirama, since they were becoming tired with his sulky attitude. Mito was looking for interesting things to distract Hashirama with until they reached a clearing where a large platform stood and some pirates were harassing some children. Hashirama, who always loved children, seeing this became angry, and before Mito can stop him destroyed the pirate group thoroughly. After his performance of merely few seconds, children were having different reactions. Some were wondering about what happened to pirates, some were more frightened with Hashirama than of pirates, while some had stars in their eyes due to Hashirama's coolness. While all of this was happening, Mito was glaring at him. She said, "Look what you did, every one of them has their bones crushed. Most of them wouldn't even be able to stand up any time if ever. That's why we don't let you fight small fries." Pirates present and their captain would have complained about calling them small fries, but there was no one whose mouth was in working condition to complain. Hearing her angry tone, Hashirama faced Mito, and seeing the glare of Mito, he started rubbing back of his head looking sheepish. After some more berating by Mito, they both started consoling and entertaining the children with different jutsus. Tobirama and Mei, while everyone was into the town trying to get a feel of the town, Tobirama and Mei, both primarily water users, decided to go to walk on shores of the island. They were enjoying the sceneries of the shores when they saw a cove which was large enough to hide the ship. They went to the cove to investigate it. After traveling on water for a bit they reached the cove. Since it was somewhat hidden and difficult to reach if you were not ninja, they decided to talk about it with the group and left the cove to further enjoy the sceneries of Polestar Island's shores. Jiraiya and Tsunade went looking for a suitable place to make camp. While they were going there they passed through a market. While Tsunade went on, Jiraiya became sidetracked due to lovely girls in the market and he started his research. Tsunade continued on the road for some time. After that he noticed the absence of Jiraiya and went looking for him. Seeing him concentrating on his research, she became angry and beat Jiraiya so much that he was now a collection of swellings instead of a human. An evening sun was just above the horizon when all of the dragons came together on the harbor where they had decided to meet. Tobarama and Mei were already there enjoying the wind and view while also keeping an eye on the ship. Hinata, Tenten and Hashirama were looking excited while Mito was frowning and there was a serene expression on the face of Mei. Naruto and Gaara were looking like they just got through a small war. Tobarama was going to ask about the reason for the excited, tired looks. Seeing this, Naruto and Gaara both shook their head in negative as much as they could without alerting their spouses. Naruto hastily added, "Let's go back to the ship and talk there." Gaara nodded, signifying his acceptance to the proposal, and they all decided to go to the ship. Every one of the dragons started running on the sea after looking everywhere that nobody was close to the port. After they boarded the ships, Gaara said, "We should get refreshed and wait for dinner to talk about our explorations." He was hoping that this wait would give him and Naruto time to relax a bit and gather their strength and if possible lower the excitement of Hinata and Tenten somewhat. Since everyone was in need of some refreshment, everyone accepted Gaara's advice. After refreshing themselves, Naruto and Hinata started on dinner. After around 1 hour everyone was on dinner table ready to eat food. After everyone had filled their stomachs, Tsunade and Jiraiya left for their room since Jiraiya needed to heal from his beat down. Tobarama started the conversation by asking, "So what made you three so excited?" indicating Hashirama, Hinata and Tenten. Every one of the three started explaining and same time. Due to this, nothing could be understood by rest of them. Tobarama said, "One at a time people, one at a time." The three people started staring at each other to decide who was going to reply first. Hashirama was going to win the competition if not for last-second interruption by Mito, causing Hinata's win. So Hinata started explaining, "I found out a boutique. They had so many varieties." This continued for some time until her excitement abated. Whole time Naruto was alternating between glaring at Tobarama and groaning over his misfortune in low voice. Tobarama, who didn't want to be at the receiving end of glares more, didn't ask any more questions. Women of the group did include themselves in the discussion. Every one of them had a twinkling in their eye which could be inferred as coming doom for their spouses in the form of a shopping spree. After some time their excitement abated and their discussion winded down. This time Mei asked, "So Tenten, what did you found out?" Again Tenten continued as Hinata had, except this time the explanation was about weapons and this time Gaara was repeating Naruto's actions. But they did found out that they did have some good quality weapons here, especially swords. Good quality swords were given a name and called Meitu, named Blade. Now Tenten had new aim of collecting all swords. She also bought a book which has listing and description of all the blades. This discussion was joined by Tobarama, Kushina and Hinata. Remaining people of the group were not so interested in this discussion since most of them could form whatever weapons they choose with their elements. Seeing that the discussion was not going to come to stop any time soon if not stopped by any outside force, Naruto decided to interfere. He didn't interfere in previous discussions since he didn't want to face the wrath of the entire woman on the ship. He asked Hashirama, "So what did you manage to found out?" Hashirama said, "We found out that this place is birthplace of Pirate King Galdi. Roger, and also his execution place. There is a platform in the center of town where he was executed." Mito added, "He also beat down few pirates who were there." Hearing this, all of them groaned, especially Tobarama, thinking, "There goes our chance to remain inconspicuous." Hashirama added, looking sheepish, "No need to worry, I got promise from children present there that they wouldn't talk about us with anyone. So we got some time before they get suspicious about us." This time Mito came to support Hashirama, saying, "While I am not condoning the overboard beatdown, I do think they needed some thrashing since they were harassing children." At this Naruto said, "If they were harassing children then I don't have any problem with Hashirama beating the pirates. Beside, our secret was going to be revealed sometime, so what if it happens a bit early?" Everyone agreed at this. Mei also added, "I don't think we need to take tension about this. I think Tobarama-san will get some ideas to get us out of this situation." Tobarama started thinking on the problem after asking Minato, "So what did you found out?" Minato said, "We came across the marine base and I went and hanged into a soldier. I couldn't found anything important, only that they are commanded by an old man who was going to retire in a month or so and a new captain by the name of Smoker is going to come in his head." Kushina added, "I think we need to meet with this captain and found about the government and Grand Line more before entering it." Tobarama, after thinking, said, "This can solve our problems.
What if we send Mito as herself, me and Naruto as old council people as diplomats, and tell them that today's trouble was by our bodyguard sent in advance to find about security? It will bring us out of the problem. What do you think? Everyone agreed on this. Naruto added, this is a great idea. We could get information about upper government by being diplomats and lower underbelly by being ourselves. We should camouflage our ship as something else tomorrow and then bring it to harbor. Then we could play both sides of this world, legal and illegal. This way we would get complete information. After they agreed to the proposal, they again started discussing weapons and clothes. The end. Now we will see you in the next video.